What's up, guys? How are we doing? Hope we're doing well. Oh. Guys, if you have any questions, as always, hit me up. I'm working in the background, working on my client stuff, and then also just couple of things with the SaaS companies I'm building, the tech products. They all come together. It's taking time, as you can probably imagine. There's a lot to it. Nice. There's Launchpad. What is up, man? How you doing? What's up on YouTube, guys? Let me read the comments. Does retargeting still work? Yeah, of course it does. Retargeting will never go away. I don't know where you heard that from. Dion, what's up, man? Purchase event for new ads or start of ads cart. Look, never start of ads cart engagement. link clicks and all that stuff, because what's going to happen is you're going to fill the pixel with really low intent people for the first time. So you want to avoid that. You want to go straight to purchases ideally. And if you don't get sales, that's perfectly normal. Just work backwards and figure out why didn't you get sales. It's going to be mostly down to either two things. It's a creative problem or an ads problem, or the second one is it's a website problem. Switching to add to carts, warming up pixel, that type of thing, you don't need to do it. What type of cold conversion SMS list? Oh wait, what type of cold conversion campaign for clothing brand? For clothing brand, like again, it's going to come down to having a strong brand, right? Good offer, good content. For targeting, I would just do broad initially. If you know what your demographic is, 25 to 35, go for that. But you're probably better off doing 18 to 65. Both genders, and no interest initially, and go from there. It's going to come down to the ad creative. Do I do one-to-one mentorship? Yeah. All the time. It works really well, and I think that is the way to work with someone like myself, even if you work with another person. Ads are not as complicated as they used to be, and so with the way things are heading, I think you should just learn how to do it yourself. You'll be in a much better position. How does the pay structure work if you want to work my company? It depends on a couple of variables, like how much ad spend you've got, where you're at. If you found something that already works, say like you're established, my fees are usually lower. If you're a startup, sometimes it's higher. It really depends. It ranges anywhere from like 700 to upwards of 1500 right now. T, send me a message on TikTok, or you can go to the link in my bio. Excuse me, I'm coming down with flu. Fran Scales, I haven't seen your DM yet, but I'll check it. What's my AAV on this ad account? It's about 45. It tends to fluctuate by the day. How much do I manage a month on an ad spend, right? I'd be giving you a wild guess right now. It's probably about 600 to 700k a month. It's lower than it used to be. But I have a couple clients who are spending like 100k a month, and I have a lot of smaller ones who are spending like £300 a day. That's typically how it's structured. Usually you have like 2 or 3 big clients, sometimes even just one, that's spending most of the budget, and then the rest are a lot smaller, but you've got, several of them. What's the requirements to work with you? How much can you scale me? Requirements is you need to have enough ad spend. That's the most important bit. I can't really work with someone who's only spending like £20 a day on ads, so you've got to have the ad spend. You could be a startup, but if you're a startup, you've got to be willing to look at the data and be willing to make changes. I mean, all clients I work with have to be open to that, because the data never lies, and you always find little ways to optimize insights that suggest that you should do X, Y, Z on your site or content. And then you need to have a good product. I can't really sell a bad product or a bad service. I've got to believe in it. I spoke to a guy today and I just didn't believe in what he was doing. I thought it was terrible, and I just had to say, look, it's not a good fit. In terms of how far you can scale, I mean, look, it depends on your situation again. If you're getting a 2.5x ROAS and you're profitable and you've got access to capital like even an Amex, then you can scale pretty quick. If you're bootstrapping, margins are tighter, then it could take time. It could take weeks, could take months. What's an ad spend for a new startup? Ad spend, I mean, I can work with lowest probably 1,500, sometimes as low as 1K a month ad spend, but that's only when your CPA is really low. So, for example, you're a service-based business and you're a startup and your cost per lead is like $10. Well, yeah, I could probably work with $40 a day. But if your CPA is like 60, then it's not gonna work if you've only got 1K or less to spend. Are you running a specific offer for these campaigns? What's been the biggest factor keeping the 4x ROAS? The biggest factor keeping the 4x ROAS is retargeting. So those two right there at the top, they are warm. And then as you get further down, you see the ones that are top of funnel, they're cold. Spend about 30K, looking to spend 150K. 150K and a 2.5x ROAS has happened. It's not common. Depends on the market you're in. Are you in Europe? Are you in one country? Are you global? If you're global, it's very doable. If you're in the US, very difficult. International, okay. Then yeah, it's doable. Have you tried some of the countries in Europe? Have you tried Germany? For me, some very profitable countries are Germany, Australia, which obviously isn't in Europe. Croatia is one. Some parts of Scandinavia. UK is good for some. I have one brand right now doing amazing in the UK. I have another brand who's doing terrible. That's a jewelry brand. They're struggling in the UK. But Germany is one that always is working. I believe they have very high disposable income. There's a couple other metrics around that country. Daniel, yeah, sure, I'll get back to you. ASAP, sorry about that. Do you do multiple countries in one broad target ad set or per country? So the way I do it is you want to have your budget. So let's say it's 10K a month. You want to have allocation between regions. And you want to look for data that shows that, for example, Europe is your top performer or the UK is your top performer. And so you allocate percentage. Maybe it's 50% to UK, and then you might have 20% to US, and then the rest going to the rest of the world. So then you would have your campaign structure set up like that. I don't really have ad sets that are global. I'd have like one campaign for Europe, and I'd have maybe like the top 3 countries in Europe, and I'd have UK as like an individual ad set. That's the average setup. There's some brands where you combine like UK, US, Europe, Australia, and there's others you don't. The big thing is looking at your reporting and looking at what is your ROAS by region versus your ad spend. And if you find that all of your ad spend is going to the US, but actually when you ran ads in Germany, or when Facebook spent in Germany, you had like a solid ROAS on a couple $1,000s of spend, that's a problem, because Facebook is just going straight to the US instead of putting it into Germany, where you could actually bring your overall ROAS up. So you've got to look at that. I had that issue with Jewelry Brand. Quite big. They were spending about $150 a month, $1,000, and they were basically like global in their ad sets. I'd say about 90% of the ad spend was going to the US. So the entire performance of their brand on paid ads relied on the US, and the US fluctuates like crazy. So what I did was I went in there, I found a bunch of countries that were working well, and we pulled them out into individual ad sets, and then we pulled less spend in the US, put it between those other countries. The overall ROAS went up. So important to do that. How do you hide the conversion rate? There's a couple ways you can do it. So the best things to do is social proof. You've got to get social proof on your landing page. So ideally you want like user generated content. You want people showing you video reviews or pictures of the product and them using it. Like that is very good social proof. That will give you more brand trust. Make sure you've got an FAQ. FAQ can have a huge difference, like how long is shipping, whatever else is relevant to you. Try and tell a story about your brand. So if you're in fashion, don't just have like a hoodie and no story about the brand, how you started, who's behind it, the mission, the vision, all that type of stuff. And make sure you get that in there. You've got to use the right images as well on the product page. But a lot of the time, the conversion rate really does come down to social proof and also the offer. Like, if you've got FOMO, limited time only, you've got a countdown, you can show people are buying it, you can show there's demand. That FOMO will also drive pretty decent conversion rate. If you give me your website name, I'll open it right now. We can have a look at it. How do you do retargeting? So what you have to do is you can do this by going to your ad sets. You go to custom audience, and in custom audience, you can create a custom audience of engagement. So the way I do it is I have 2 ad sets. I have one ad set that has engagement, video views, first party audiences basically. So any event that happens within the platform, that's in like ad set 1. Then you have ad set 2. There's any event that happens outside of the platform, so traffic. So you can literally go onto your pixel and you can create custom audience, last 30-day traffic. That's what you want to do. So you have those 2 ad sets, you have the ad spend on the ad set level, and then what you usually find is that the first party, so the retargeting engagement, video views, outperforms traffic because those audiences are much larger. Four days abroad, target UK No interest listed, add to cart campaign, zero purchase. You've had zero purchases. You're doing an add to cart campaign. So that's the reason why. Switch from add to cart to purchase. I would never do add to carts. The way to think about it is Facebook is set up in a way where it's incentivized to get you the lowest cost per result. You might have heard the term CPA, cost per action. The action is defined in the ad set level. So you can see on my screen right here, I'm optimizing for purchases, website purchase. So you need to optimize for purchases, and then Facebook is incentivized to get you the best cost per purchase. Whereas what's going to happen with add to carts is you're going to get your ads served to all the people that on average see an ad, add to cart, and do nothing else. And you can retarget them like 10 times. They won't convert. They're basically time wasters. So you want to optimize for purchase, and you're going to find like the CTR is completely different, CPMs, and there's a reason. It's because that is the highest intent audience. So I would start there, and then if you're getting zero sales, you want to look at like what is your click-through rate, what is your cost per click, CPM. Compare those to benchmarks. If the ads look okay, so you're getting good CTR, then you start looking at the website performance. So you look in tools like GA4, and you look at how is the traffic performing. Is it exiting straight away? One of the metrics you can look at is the average time spent. If it's like 1 second, 2 seconds, people are basically just seeing the ad, going to your website and exiting straight away. So you need to figure out why that is. What's my website name? airteam.co, but it's in my TikTok bio if you want to go there. What's the main things we're looking at during product test? Main things we're looking at during product test. CTR is super important because you want to figure out, are people interested in this product? Are they interested in the concept? And ideally, if you're testing a new product, let's say you're testing, I don't know, a sneaker. You want to have variations of the creative. So you want to look at, first of all, are people interested in the product concept, and then what creative are they interested in, what messaging are they interested in. If you're running videos, it's going to really be what hook is getting their attention, getting them to the site. And then you're looking at GA4 or any other tool, how long they're spending on the site, are they adding to the cart, are they going to that product, adding that specific product to the cart, or are they going somewhere else? So you just want to try and get a picture built up of what are people's impressions when they see this product. My pricing is anywhere from $700 to $1,500 a month. Do I take a percentage of sales? Not anymore. Like, I don't work on that only. I've had clients who offer me it on top of a fee, which is a very good incentive, to be honest. Like, you know, I can make a lot of money doing that, so I'm open to it. But I don't work on commission only. No. The reason why is because I got screwed over too many times. I went through this phase of doing commission only. I took a percentage of the revenue that was generated. And what happened was I'd have these brands that would pay me, we'd scale up, and then out of nowhere they'd remove it from the ad account. They'd pay my final invoice. Sometimes they didn't pay me. And they'd go outsource it to someone in-house or someone in Asia who would take over the account. Because at that point, they could kind of see what was working. And I didn't need to work on it as much because I'd sort of figured out the learnings of what type of creative, what type of ad set structure works. So I got screwed over. Yeah, I work in USD. What's the possibility to scale a brand to 9-figure valuation? 9-figure valuation, I mean, you either do it on a multiple of revenue, right? Or you do it based on IP. The easiest way is on IP, I think. Like, build a software or build a product where you've got a patent that has that 9-figure valuation. Just doing it with ads is very difficult. You're not really going to get there if you just build a business around ads, because, as you know, Meta can decline out of nowhere very rapidly. I think you actually have a really bad business if you rely so much on Meta. What's this per day budget to start testing out purchase event? 50 a day is usually pretty good. How do you scale? I mean, the obvious standard answer is, you know, you just increase the budget, but really what you've got to do is you've got to look at making sure you have enough new traffic coming to the site. And not only traffic, attention as well. So even on organic social, it's super important. What a lot of people do is they increase the budgets to, like, let's say 1,000 a day, and they fail to understand that if you don't put exclusions in place, Meta will just show your ads to the same people over and over again, and so you'll become saturated. And what you've got to make sure you're doing is you create ad sets that have exclusions. So you exclude engagement, traffic, your customers, and then you're forcing Facebook to go and show your brand to new people. And that's what we call top of funnel. Top of funnel is essentially reaching new eyeballs. And you want those people to come to your site and understand what you're doing. And then you need to have bottom of funnel, retargeting, the correct structure in place there. Usually what you'd have, about 70% of your budget goes to top of funnel, like prospecting, and the 30% retargeting. That's the typical formula. And then you also need to have a system in place where you're constantly outputting new creative. That's the other thing that people miss out on. I have clients who are spending 5,000 a day. They have to constantly update the creative, constantly test. We track in a spreadsheet. I hate this song. Let me turn it off. There we go. Do you need organic social to make paid ads work? Yeah. Organic social, if you nail it, your paid ads ROI will go through the roof. Because what will happen is, if you get virality, by the time your paid ads reach your audience, they've already seen you on organic social. That tends to be what happens, or they've heard of you in that space. And so your cost per purchase, your ROAS is often a lot better. It's basically you're building your brand through organic social. But a lot of people still try and build brand through paid ads, and the price of CPMs right now, the cost to advertise, is just like unsustainable. What percentage CTR do you want to see to know if the ad is good? So this is another question where it depends on the niche you're in, right? If you're in finance, you're going to see completely different CTR to fashion. I say as a general rule, you want to be above 1% with your click-through rate. But I've had clients that are spending like 6 figures a month and their average CTR is below 1%. So that's why you have to be careful. There is a tool called Varos, which I've been using for a while. I think if I go to their website, they've got paid ad benchmarks for skincare. Let's have a look. You'll find out here. If I go to, paid media benchmarks, I think cosmetic brand is the closest. Wait, can you see this? Let me move this over. Damn, I don't think they've got CTR on here actually. No. That's annoying. Wait, cost per click, conversion rate. TikTok Ads Library, you can also get the CTR, but just bear in mind it's a different platform. But for skincare, I'm taking a wild guess. I think you need to be above 1%. I would always aim to be above 1%. Can use competitor's name in a Facebook ad, point out why a product is better. People do it. The worst that can happen is the competitor sees it, gets your ad taken down, and you get restricted from advertising. I see advertisers do it all the time, to be honest. It's like, stop using this tool, use us instead, here's why. How much should I spend to test a product on low budget? Personally, I would probably spend like 100 to 150 if you've got low budget. The rule I usually go with is that you want 10 conversion events when you do a test. But if you're paying like $50 per sale, well, it's going to get expensive. Facebook could ban you for life. I don't think they'll ban you for life unless you use like, Disney or something like that. The big guys. I think mention it in your video you probably get away with. Mention it in the ad copy, probably not. You just have to be careful. Like, there's a guy called Alex Hormozi, which you probably heard of, right? He's pretty big, and an AI company have basically hired an Alex Hormozi impersonator, and they've used AI to then create videos out of that impersonator. You may have seen it if you're in marketing. They're serving that ad all the time. It kind of sounds like him. It's obviously not him. They're impersonating his brand. I don't know how long they'll be up running that for until they get banned. Why does Facebook ban you right after a new ad account? It's often because it thinks that you're up to something suspicious, like your payment method you're using. There's a couple of things like that that can trigger, and most of the time it's a mistake. You can get a manual review and have it reinstated. Right, guys, I need to jump. But thank you to everyone who's watching. As always, any more questions, hit me up, and I'll see you guys soon.